Soon we're going to have the Global Mercy coming online. You can't help but be moved by the things that you see here. That's life-changing and it's life-giving.
Hi and welcome to Mercy Ships. So we are in the middle of the Come On Board season with Mercy Ships. We are on the Global Mercy in Rotterdam at the moment. And we thought it would just be a great opportunity to take advantage of some of the many people that are working with Mercy Ships over the next 2 weeks, to bring them into one room and just ask some questions about service with Mercy Ships and life on board. So my name's Anne Buckland. I'm the Global Campaign Manager for Mercy Ships. And with me in the studio today, I have Beth Kirchner, a teacher with Mercy Ships, and Mirjam Shatanis, who has volunteered as a project manager as well. So hi, how are you both?
Doing well.
Very well, yes, thank you. Perfect. Now, Beth, you're volunteering on the Global Mercy at the moment, aren't you?
Yes.
How's it going?
It's going very well. I just came from the Africa Mercy. I was teaching there in the fall and then just transferred over here in January. So it's all very big and new, but it's wonderful. It's exciting to be a part of.
Wonderful. And Mirjam, when was it that you were volunteering for Mercy Ships?
I started in November 2017 in Cameroon, and I was supposed to only stay for 9 weeks, but I soon felt that was my place to be, and so I extended and stayed for a total of 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'm finding that a common theme with people who volunteer for Mercy Ships.
Yes.
Beth, how long did you originally volunteer
I
for?
volunteered for 1 year, and I'm currently on my 5th year. So a while longer.
Yeah.
What is it that keeps you coming back?
Oh, it's so many things. It's number one for me is the community. It's a community unlike anywhere I've ever seen. With, people from so many different, backgrounds. And for me as a teacher, I get to teach kids from so many different cultures and countries. And my first year on board, I had 4 students from 4 different continents, and we just had such a blast learning together and growing together. And the community on board is just very, very unique.
Amazing. That sounds awesome. And what's the academy like? Can you describe?
It's wonderful. It's a lot like other schools in a lot of ways. We have 7 periods a day, and we have a principal, and we have bells and things like that. And then it's very, very different from other schools in lots of ways because, when we're learning, we can just pull in, people from the community who live on board. So when we're learning about electricity, we pull in an electrician, or we go see what the radiology department is like, and we, get to x-ray our stuffed animals, or, there's just so many opportunities for the kids to learn, and then also, be with patients, and they just get a very different sort of worldview than most kids in schools get around the world.
That sounds amazing. Okay, so I'm quite a new mum, first-time mum, and that sounds an incredible experience for upbringing.
As a teacher, and I think as a student as well.
Perfect. And Mirjam, what was it that kept you coming back?
It is actually the community too, in combination with our mission.
Yes.
I really love what we do, the hope and healing that we bring, and that you can actually see in the eyes of the patients, of the local medical professionals that we train. We are one. We're all doing this together. We're on the same boat, literally, and that really touched my heart. Yeah.
Perfect. So just for those who might be quite new to Mercy Ships, so Mercy Ships is a charity that operates to bring hope and healing to the people who need it most in Africa. So we operate hospital ships that not only provide access to life-changing surgery, but also provide a whole heap of training to those that need it. And so we're really working with countries or our host nations to upskill the capacity in those nations too. The phenomenal thing about the launch of our second ship, who will soon be in service, the Global Mercy, is the fact that she will be our largest ship in the fleet. But she has also been created to not just be a hospital to provide surgery, but to provide a whole range of training as well. So it really upskills our training. Now, Mirjam, you were working with the medical capacity building or our medical training programs, weren't you? Tell me a bit about them.
Yeah, so we come into a country and we come upon invitation by a government, and then together with local partners such as the Ministry of Health, local doctors, hospital directors, and also local missionaries, we develop a program of training that really fits best to the local situation, and we invite local healthcare professionals on board to come and join us in the ORs, for example, but we also go into the country and we provide training in local hospitals. So it's a year full of training and of encountering, with lots of local people, and it's really wonderful.
Can you tell me about a couple of the people that you encountered while you were doing that? And
I've met so many inspiring people. I really think I'm so impressed that despite a lack of financial resources or lack of supplies, medical supplies, for example, African healthcare professionals are the ones that I met are so strong and so determined to do the best they can. And as Mirjam, we often talk about the patients, bringing hope and healing to them, but I've seen so much hope and healing in the eyes of healthcare professionals because they are so encouraged by what they see, by the way they can improve their skills and how they can actually apply it. And that isn't only the medical skills, but we also teach about teamwork and communication. So those are the things that they can actually apply right away, and they don't need financial resources for that.
Amazing.
So it's really encouraging.
So it leaves people stronger for...
Oh, yes, they are. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And Beth, tell me a bit about teaching on board. You've mentioned that I love the idea of x-raying teddies and toys. That's brilliant. But tell me a bit about the children's experience as well. You often take them down to see the patients as well.
Yes, yeah. So that's probably one of my favorite things that we get to do. So in kindergarten, I teach kindergarten. So once a week, I take my kids down either to the hospital or to the wards, not where they're having surgeries, but down to the wards or out to on the Africa Mercy. It was Deck 7, where the patients go out to get fresh air once a day, and that's a good time for the kids to go out and do some painting or like bring out the dot paints or bring a ball out and kick a ball around, or just a chance for them to get to interact with the patients, because as normal as it is for us this is their life, this is where they live on a hospital ship, so that is normal for them, but also I don't think it ever really gets normal to be living in a hospital. So it's interesting, to take them out, especially towards the beginning of the year, especially if I have students who, have come on board recently and are not maybe so used to seeing all the things that we see with, patients. And I take them out there towards the beginning of the kindergarten year, and they are just, grabbing onto my pockets and, onto my arms, and they just want to stay right next to me because I'm, they know me, and there's a lot, they're surrounded by people who, have tubes coming out of them or have, big tumors, or just things that can look really scary, honestly. And as an adult, we generally don't say that kind of thing, but kids will say it. They say, I don't want to go over there, I don't want to give a dot paint to that person, they look scary to me. And I understand. It's the same things that I'm thinking in my head, but as an adult, I just don't say those things out loud. So seeing the transformation from my students from the beginning of the year when I take them out, and they just oftentimes they ask, when can we go back in? Can we go back into our classroom now? Because that's kind of our safe space, and they know that space. And then I tell them why we're doing this, and these are the people really that we're all here to serve, and we just keep going even when it's really hot or it's really uncomfortable. And every week we just keep going out and we keep practicing. And if we don't have a good time one week, then we practice again the next week, what we can do. And by the end of the school year, I have my kids begging me to stay out longer. And I specifically remember towards the beginning of the year, them, not wanting to go near a lot of the patients that look kind of scary to them. And then, by the end, I remember patients picking them up, sitting right next to each other, or a kid sitting in a patient's lap, or a patient sitting, in one of our laps, and just willing to, touch each other and, play together. And it's just so fun to see that transformation, within the kindergarten, because really it's the same transformation that's happening to me. I just hide it better because I'm an adult, But watching that transformation to the end, when they just beg to stay out longer and they want to, stay with the patients and talk to them and play ball and blow bubbles with them, and it's just the one of the most beautiful things I have ever, been privileged to be a part of and to see.
So you're teaching them to see the humanity in everyone.
I'm trying.
That's amazing, and presumably it's good for the patients as well to be able to interact, to play, and
for sure.
Because we have young patients
as well. Yes, absolutely, yes. Especially going out and being able to play with the other kid patients. And, in a lot of ways, kids, see things in a way that I think that we should all see things. So a lot of times kids go out and they don't see that, this kid is on crutches, or this kid has this such and such bandages or whatever. It's another kid, and they want to blow bubbles just like we do, and they want to play with blocks and Jenga just like we do. So I think it's very equalizing in a lot of ways to see, like, we don't speak the same language and we don't look alike, but we like to play Jenga together, we like to play Uno together, and I think that's a commonality and creates unity among us that is just so special.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. And are there any particular patients that stick out in your mind from 5 years of serving with Mercy
Yeah,
Ships?
gosh, I mean, there's lots. There was one patient named Julian in Benin, which was my first year. He was a man, and he had a very large maxillofacial tumor. And he came at the very beginning of the field service, and then he came at the very end for like plastic surgery on, having taken the tumor out. They have to let that rest for a little bit, and then he came back to get the plastic surgery to look what we would call normal. And my kids, I don't know, they just latched onto him. I had 3 little girls that year, and they just would beg to go out and play ball with him and blow bubbles with him. And I don't know, there was a special connection. But he's the one that I was talking about that I specifically remember, them being willing to let him pick them up and swing them around and play with them. I mean, like, it was just such a sweet connection that they had with him. And I don't even know that I could pinpoint why. What created that connection, but just sometimes we have connections with people, and they connected with him, and just loved spending time with him and playing with him. And it was also special because he was there at the beginning, and then he came back at the end, and it was just fun to have sort of a long ongoing relationship with him.
Aww.
With my kids.
That's lovely. That's lovely. And it shows seeing the humanity in people, despite whatever's going on.
Yeah. And actually, can I share one other?
Yeah,
this isn't a specific patient, but this was a group of patients that at the end of one of our field services, we had, I want to say, about 20 people that had, infections or things like that, where we were going to be leaving soon. We didn't want to discharge them from the hospital without, the healing that we wanted to provide them. But we had come to a point where we can't really do anything else, and we're pulling out in 20 days. We just need to pray for them. And they would send out a list of the names of those patients, and we took the list in kindergarten, and we just would pray for them by name every single day. And as we got closer and closer to sailing, the list got less and less and less. And the week before sailing, I'm going to cry, so I'm talking about it. They took the last name off the list, and my kids were just like, they fully believed it was because of kindergarten, because we prayed for them every day. That obviously it was because of God. But they were so excited that they were a part of praying for all of those names. And then, we had a party. Like, I had videos of them like jumping up and down and waving their arms. They were so excited because every name was taken off that list, and every single patient was able to be discharged, completely better, and it was just fantastic.
Oh, that's amazing! That's amazing. What an experience for them as well. So, that's really powerful, and it shows that children's prayers are key,
powerful.
Yeah.
And the kids also really bring life to the community on board. It is so special and wonderful to have kids and families on board, and we are really a community, and like you said before, we're all one. And I love it. I love your stories, and I love the interaction together.
That's brilliant. So you've spoken about community and what kind of community it is on board. Can you remember what it was like, Mirjam, when you first arrived as a volunteer? So you'd come for this 9 weeks. You didn't. Did you know what to expect?
No, I had no clue. No clue. I was just overwhelmed by the attention, by the care, by the love that was on board. I was like, wow, what is this? I want to stay. I want to be part of this community. And I love it. It's normal life. It has its challenges, certainly. You really need to take care of yourself. You need some privacy sometimes, because you meet your manager, your colleague in the dining room, in your weekend, when you go to church together, you meet them all the time. But to me, that was a huge blessing. I enjoyed every part of it. Yeah.
Brilliant. And what was it that kept you staying? Can you remember that moment? How did you feel when you got to the end of your 9 weeks and it was coming close?
Yeah.
What was the moment that turned in you that went, and why? Why did you change your mind?
Well, I really felt that the Lord was telling me that I should look around and see if I could stay longer. So I was praying for this, and then one day I was at the reception desk, and somebody came to me and she said, "I think we need to have a coffee. I think we need to talk about your future on board." And so I really saw that as an answer to prayer. And so we had a coffee, and the rest is history. I decided to commit for 2 years. That felt very, very long. I was really a bit hesitant to commit for 2 years and leave everything behind, leave family, sell my home, my apartment, everything. But as soon as I had made the decision, I felt so much at peace, and I knew that this was the right decision.
And just tell me a bit about that, because actually you've had the experience of both coming as a short-term volunteer, but then committing for the long term.
Yeah.
So Mercy Ships doesn't just use volunteers for the long term, though. You can volunteer for a couple of weeks or a few weeks and then come back. How did it work for you?
Well, I think all the crew members, as soon as I decided to stay for 2 years, all my crew members felt as brothers and sisters. They instantly became family to me, because I knew, okay, my biological family is at home, and this is my family now. And so I think, that was just wonderful. I really enjoyed it. Yeah.
And Beth, how about you? How long did you originally think? Was it something that you thought, I'll just do this, I'll get it out my system, then I'll...
Yeah. So it says online that I needed to commit for 2 years as a teacher. That was the minimum commitment, and that just seemed like an eternity to me. And so I originally emailed Mercy Ships and said, "Hey, I'm a teacher. I'm interested in this kindergarten position. I don't know that I can commit for 2 years. Can I apply just for 1 year?" And they were in desperate need of a kindergarten teacher at that point, so they said, "Yes, please apply." So I came on board for 1 year. And prayed that whole year about whether I should stay, whether I should, go back. And I knew that I loved it on board, but I do get very homesick for my family when I am away from them. And specifically, I have a twin sister, and it's very hard for me to be away from my twin sister. And during that first field service, my twin sister had her first baby, and it just killed me that I wasn't there for any of that. So I actually decided, okay, I'm going to go back home and be near family for a little while. So I did stay for only that first year, and then I went home for a year, and then when I was home, I just missed being on board so much. So it was good. I'm very glad that I was home for that year. There's a lot of ways that God showed me, like, this is where I want you for this year, but also He showed me in a lot of ways, I want you back on board. So I left for a year. And then I didn't realize I'd be back that soon, but after a year, I came back on board, and at that point, I committed for 2 years. And then I've just extended by year after that. I will tell you, as someone who has left and then has also come back, it's a hard place to leave. Beware, because you think you're only coming for a short time. It's just, it is a very hard place to leave, because, like I said, it's just the most unique and beautiful community I have ever been a part of. And the purpose that you feel when you're working here is just unmatched. I've never felt that anywhere else, and I love it. And I don't know how long I'll be here now, but I will be here until God tells me to leave.
Sense. And so who are the children in the academy? Whose children are you helping?
Yeah, so the kids that we serve are the kids of the other crew members. So we serve the kids of the chief engineer, of the captain, of our head chef, chief electrician, chaplains. Just all of the families who are coming for long term. We're serving the children of those families so that they can serve on board together.
That's amazing. And how many students are in the academy?
So on board right now, we have 34 kids. The Global Mercy is equipped to take, I believe it's up to, I want to say 110. So we will be expanding. We will get a lot bigger. We have room for a lot more. Currently, we are at about 34.
The academy is amazing. I've seen the academy, and it looks, again, as quite a new mum. I was just looking at it, thinking that's an amazing facility.
It's beautiful.
For someone who hasn't seen it, can you describe it a bit? What do you have there?
It's beautiful, first of all. It's sort of like its own little entity among the ship, which is kind of nice. Yeah, I mean, so we have, one big room where our library is, and then all the little classrooms off, on all the sides. And the thing that was very exciting to me, I was close to tears when I walked in for the first time, because every single classroom has windows, which is not true on the AFM. And I love the Academy on the AFM with all of my heart. But I will say that we have a lot more windows here, which is very, very nice. So it's fun to be in, all the classrooms. You can see from the walking track out on deck 10, you can see into the classroom. So, we get to wave at lots of people walking by. And I mean, it's just, it's beautiful and bright and big. I mean, the classrooms are pretty large, and it is seriously the most well-equipped, well-resourced school I have ever taught in. So I've taught in 3 or 4 schools, and it is very well-resourced. It's a fantastic place to be a student. It's a fantastic place to be a teacher also. It's unmatched. It's just very unique.
Amazing. And actually, yes, so the Global Mercy is, she is the biggest ship for Mercy Ships. She's been designed by volunteer professionals for volunteer professionals in service. But even, so with the Global Mercy experience that we're running at the moment, in one of the last videos, Don and Dion Stevens talk about what it was like to found Mercy Ships. And Dion says it's a wonderful place to raise children.
Yes.
And this is talking about 5 ships back, then
Right.
4 ships back. So it must be more than just the physical trimmings.
Absolutely.
There's something about the culture and the...
Yes, it is very nice to have windows, but really, I mean, the thing that that makes it such a nice place to raise a family is, I mean, I feel like we keep saying this, but the community on board. I mean, it's just such a unique place to raise, kids, where they are meeting, people from so many different cultures and so many different backgrounds and speaking so many different languages, and I mean, eating so many different kinds of food, and I mean, they just have a different perspective on life than other kids that I've met in the world, because they've seen so much, and they have such compassion in their hearts from what they have seen. And I think also being surrounded by a community of like-minded adults. A lot of our kids just, I don't know, they're very mature. I mean, there's lots of, silliness and pranks and things going on as well. But just the way they can interact with other students, the way they interact with patients, the way they interact with adults, they're very used to interacting with lots of people from lots of different backgrounds, and it just creates a very unique place to grow up.
Perfect. So how does the community function on board? Just describe a bit about that. So we've talked a lot about the academy and the way that the children are looked after, but how does it work as an actual community? You are essentially sometimes in each other's pockets for work and for play.
Yes, yeah.
But what does that look like?
Well, we all need food. So there's a dining room. We start with breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There are shifts that you go to have your meal. So you meet there together, and we work from the offices, and the school's open from Monday till Friday. So we have regular office hours. In the evening, we play games together. We have worship services, for example, on Sunday. And the weekends, most of the people are off. Of course, we have medical staff working in shifts and other people on duty. But in the weekends, for example, I went on Saturdays. I often went to the local market, to get my local fruit, and we would go out for a walk. On Sundays, we would attend local church services. So it is, I loved it. And I could just WhatsApp somebody and say, okay, let's have a tea and play a game in 5 minutes. Okay, see you over there. And that's something that really became normal quite soon. But as soon as I got home, I was like, wow, that was so unique. Being around with friends and people that are so special, and like you said before, people from all over the world come here to volunteer, give up their time, their money to come here. So we all have one mission, and I think that is makes it so unique, and at the same time so normal as well, because we all feel the same, and we aren't. We come from we have so many different backgrounds, but it's something that really binds us together.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you're all
Feel free to add other.
Yeah, no,
things
I
that-
would echo that. Yes, especially the like-mindedness. It's amazing how people can come from so many different backgrounds and still be like-minded, like-hearted, because we are all serving Jesus. I mean, really. But yeah, the community on board is like, it's like a village, a town, a city.
Yeah.
I mean, we have all of those things. We have, a cafe and a hair salon and, a bank and, all of those things. It just happens that when you're off, then you're still with all of those people and you just get to know them on a very close and intense level. And, that's hard sometimes and it's incredibly beautiful and wonderful at other times. And, it's fantastic. There's so many fun, aspects to living on board, from, to having movie nights or trivia nights or, we have a choir on board or, there's Bible studies on board or book groups or, just so many things that you would normally have. It's just that they're, your commute is one deck away instead of having to make all these plans of how we're going to get all these people to one place. We're all there anyway, so we just hang out together and it's great. And also going out, into the community, going out, in the evening or during, an afternoon, going out on the weekends. There's lots of opportunities to get out into the country and travel and see the country and visit the local people and things like that too.
Perfect. So thank you so much both for your time today. I just want to finish with one question. What experience for you is your most pivotal experience? Like in the time that you volunteered for Mercy Ships, which story stands out for you the most?
Oh my goodness.
So whether that's exploring or meeting someone or just seeing impact.
It'll take me a second here.
I think there are many, of course, but one thing that comes up for me now is that I heard a day crew. So we work together with let's say on average 200 local people who come and join us and help us with translation because there are so many languages on the ship. And after a year working with us, I heard him saying, "You guys taught us how to love." And that was such a wonderful testimony to me. We all work together and it's not easy, but we all do our best to love each other. And hearing somebody saying that after a year of working together with us, working together was really special to me.
That's really special.
Blessed my heart.
Yeah. Actually, I was going to say something sort of similar. Multiple times there have been people who have come on board, whether it's somebody on a vision trip or the president of a country coming to visit the ship working in their country. We've had multiple specific instances where people have come on board and said something is different here. Like, why are you all so happy? We hear that a lot. Why are you all so happy? And it's really not that we're all so happy. It's we have the joy of the Lord in our hearts, hearing, I don't know, you can tend to just see it as normal. Like, this is our normal life. And it's sometimes you don't see everything that's going on because this is our normal life. But when somebody else comes on board who's not always there and puts their finger on it and says, this is actually not normal on earth here. The love that I'm seeing here and the joy that I'm seeing here, what's going on? And we can tell them about Jesus. That is something special. And I remember, there have been multiple times when I have thought to myself, I have to think that this sounds very dramatic, but it's just what I think, so I'm going to say it. This is, I think, as close to heaven as I'm going to get here on earth. And honestly, that's what I kept saying that when the year that I left and then coming back, that's why I had to come back, because I'm just drawn to that love and that joy. And I think for me personally anyway, this is as close to heaven as I'm going to get here on earth. So of course I want to be here.
Perfect. Well, thank you both so much for your time today. It's wonderful to hear your stories and just some of the inspiration for what Mercy Ships is and the people that are Mercy Ships as well. So thank you.
Thank you.